most important things about this whole weekend is that we want to take this and keep it moving. So I think we really have a lot of momentum now, both in terms of our interest as a school and a community, and then also interest from potential funding sources. And yes, we really need to build on that. So for all these steps, I think we're kind of at the point that we need to research for each of them. But there's also some very concrete things that we're going to be doing. So one of them, of course, is going to be pursuing funding. And part of our pursuing funding is having like a document and a presentation like this to show people so we can look serious this way. One fundraising thing I want to mention, we're going to have a fundraiser April 1st, and that's sort of the annual FOGS fundraiser at this point. And this year it's going to be devoted to the school year project. So mark your calendars and buy your tickets. And it'll be at Punchers April 1st.
You can buy tickets online.
Yes, online. Very exciting. Yeah, and of course, there's a lot of funding sources that you can see on something like this up here. So both like city and state government, and then I was also talking to the CPS managing architect, and she has a lot of ideas of sort of, it's probably going to be something where we get a lot of like piecemeal chunks. So you can look for more details there. In terms of establishing partnerships, we want to really reach out to different things here in Logan Square and even a little farther afield. With art, we have some upcoming things that we definitely have in mind. So, like the Milwaukee Avenue Arts Fest, we're planning a mural that will say kicked off at the Milwaukee Avenue Arts Fest, and that's going to be a partnership with Logan Square. So that's a very exciting part, and we really want to look at some other ways to integrate art into the space. So that's definitely going to be a big design thing and a big sort of human resources component. With programming, especially with the field house going with Haas Park, we really want to have some synergy there. And I think they're very interested in continuing to work with Georgia for after-school programs. Like with all the after-school programs that have been in the building while they're waiting for their field house, I think we can build on that, especially in the outdoor space. That's something that gives that human component to the use of the space. It will keep it busy, and it also keeps it safer and cleaner and more desirable for everyone. And I think there's a lot of additional things that we can do, like within our parent community. So I know that there's a lot of kids in doing capoeira, and that the parents and so that's something we could partner with also, like just things like that, where they'd be very interested in pursuing activities that could take place in the space. With gardens, we'd really like to, if we're going to do all this vegetation stuff, it's going to take a lot of maintenance, and if we have a place that we could like use the food, resell the food, that would be a great opportunity for us. So I think there's different community organizations that we should be looking at there also. So like there's a community garden that's starting on Save, Esperanza, and there's kind of a network starting up with the Logan Square Kitchen monthly meetings, like community soup night. So I think there's definitely a networking opportunity that we should pursue and say, hey, we're going to start growing some food, and what would work and who can we work with on that. So funding is kind of already covered, and but it's definitely also an aspect of making partnerships and making connections that will help us find funding for all these different components. And so as sort of we kind of have to pursue all these things at the same time. So we want to do, like, this weekend has been very much a brainstorming session, and the brainstorming can continue. So we don't have to feel like we have some totally specific concrete plan immediately right now. We have components, like we'd love to give feedback today even. And there's going to be further integration of ideas and refining. But we do want to develop a master plan, both a plan in terms of the space and a plan in terms of the timeline for changing the space. And also develop a master plan for how to fund all these different spaces. So those are the primary steps. And as part of this, I think we're probably going to, right now FOGS has a fundraising committee. We'll probably have to have maybe a subcommittee that is just like East New York team. So if you're interested, I would love to do that.
I need a grant writing team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of our quieter, more able to attend.
Yes.
Specifically for playground.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just been a great experience this weekend, and we're going to put this online, so those of you who are here, tell other people about it and say, hey, take a look at the presentation, and you can, click through, or like it's a little dynamic thing, like a little slideshow that you can have.
This Prezi, by the way, it's free. As long as you share these presentations publicly on the internet, it's cloud computing, it's amazing. PowerPoint is doomed. As long as those things out there, so.
Yeah, so we do have a little notepad over here, so if you have more stuff to say, like right now, please tell us. But others will, as long as you signed up for these, we'll be saying
Well, we could say one more. If I could just say one more thing, like a lot of what this was about, was really getting this input from you all, and obviously we have a bit fewer people here right now, and that's probably because the Oscars are coming up pretty soon. People are watching the red carpet and so forth. But nonetheless, we had an incredible outpouring of feedback yesterday, and almost to the point where we didn't even know how to deal with all of this, because we weren't necessarily anticipating that many people to show up. But the one thing that we're really in the business of doing right now is a sort of consensus building, and this helped us begin to formulate a consensus in terms of what your needs are, what your goals are. And what became clear is that people are not down with what is currently the case outside right now. That is a consensus, is that what is happening outside is more or less unacceptable for the safety of our children, for their recreation, for ourselves. But the other consensus that sort of emerged in all of this is that this is an incredibly dynamic, incredibly active, and incredibly motivated community that is willing to put in the time to give us their feedback. And as a result, we want to just be able to match that effort as far as it goes. If there's one thing that we really understood throughout all of this, is that you guys have the will to pull this off. There is nothing that's like too ambitious for this space as far as it goes. And I want to thank everybody for coming out. I mean, it was really awesome. So give yourself a round of applause. And we can't wait to see it again. I mean, obviously, like, if anybody wants to exchange information with myself or anyone here so that we can continue to stay in contact. If you guys see something new emerging, a new hole, a new problem, a new issue that needs to be addressed, then please don't hesitate to get in touch with us, and we can just begin to continue to kind of keep this list going of things that we need to integrate into this space so that we can give you